Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bets show here on the Mayo Media Network. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell to cover Thursday's 14-game night in the NHL. DJ, how you doing?
Pretty good. I feel like it's Groundhog's Day as we're getting almost all of the same matchups minus a couple. So it'll be interesting to see, any of the news and notes that we got. There's a few things that changed for some teams. We'll get to those. We're going to go game by game, so I don't want to give away anything quite yet. But Tuesday was decently fun. Could have been a little bit better. I did not have a lot of Winnipeg too, so I didn't end up hitting the giant cash that I would have liked. I had a lot of Goryanov and Arvidsson, like I said I was going to do. They both didn't quite disappoint, but quite get me there. So Gibson saved my bacon. Matt, how was your Tuesday and how are you doing right now?
Yeah, Tuesday was a big night on the GPP streets. So I had 10 entries into the Spinorama on DraftKings, and I got 2 of them in the top 20. So, not a terrible success rate there, but no Winnipeg 2. Patches couldn't quite get me there. My best team had Minnesota 1 on it, smashed otherwise, but Minnesota 1, I think, had 13 shots on goal and no goals. So, it is what it is, though. And I made slight profit on Tuesday. So, right back at it again on another monster Thursday slate. I'm really looking forward to it. So we're just going to get right into things. Again, if you're new or whatever, what we're going to do is we're going to go game by game, starting at the 7 o'clock games and going right on through the end of the night. And at the end, we will talk about some of our favorite, DFS stacks and whatnot. But in the meantime, we'll go game by game, talk about news, some of our favorite bets, and so forth. So with that said, before we get into that, check out Fade the Noise, ftndaily.com. Use promo code MAYO. That's for the daily fantasy needs. For betting needs, FTN Betting, again, promo code MAYO. 2 really great resources to help you out if you're trying to get serious about DFS or about betting. So let's start off with Pittsburgh at Boston. DJ, tell me about what we need to know here.
I think, last game was one of my favorite bets to go over. It just missed, only getting 5 with the overtime game. The lines did change a little bit for Pittsburgh. I don't know if I fully expect them to go back to what they did, but Gensel, Crosby, Rust, as we mentioned, Zucker, Malkin, Kapanen. That second line for Pittsburgh is where they got most of their scoring, and it's super cheap, I think, on both sites. So that was interesting to see. Boston, we're not going to get Pastrnak back yet. It doesn't look like they haven't officially ruled him out on NBC tonight, NBC Sports during the Nashville game. They did say he wasn't going to play, so I'm really not expecting it. Jake DeBrusk didn't play much because of an injury. Again, there was no official word on that either. So we're going to be coming into this game without 100% certainty, unless if you read something different on DeBrusk. I didn't get 100% on him.
Yeah, so
he didn't practice, but other than that, we're not sure.
Yeah, so we saw Craig Smith practice with that top line. Craig Smith does not strike me as a stand-in type player. So I'm sort of suspecting DeBrusk does not make it back for this one. And, on the DFS side of things, Craig Smith is always a good, rate type shooter. So, I don't hate him in terms of obviously it's a great spot for him. I wouldn't expect him to get first power play run though. So just in general, the Boston side's a little bit overpriced, on the DFS side. As far as betting though, we've talked about this game on Tuesday. So I will probably go right back to my David Krejci bet. It took until overtime to get there. But again, Krejci and his 5-on-5 line is playing quite well. Also, I think part of the reason they didn't move a second liner up to the Marchand Bergeron line. They moved a guy in the bottom 6 up. So that's something that I think Krejci on the top power play, no pasta, just basically a coin flip to score a point. I like that bet. So I don't know about you, if you have anything new in this one, or are you still kind of going back to the over here?
I don't know if I want to go back to the over. It's just not, there's not enough equity on it for me to think too strongly on it. Right now it's 5.5 over minus 120. That's just, I don't know why I'm going to play Russian roulette with that game where as long as one goalie doesn't absolutely stink, it should probably be fine. I do like your take there about Krejci getting the point. He's a very good player overall. There doesn't look like there's any crazy,
what's funny?
That we're missing, but
you remember when I said, I bet we don't get Craig Smith player props? We actually do. He's listed at plus 110 for over 2.5 shots. That to me almost smells like it's priced in his role. We don't usually see, role things priced into these lines. But even then, I think that's worth a fire. If you are a guy who trusts the analytics on Craig Smith, because he's one of those like great guys who is awesome. And so to see him get a big role, this could be kind of a breakout spot for him. But
I like that a lot too. That's a good take.
Absolutely.
There's 14 games. I'm trying to get every lineup right now. I'm trying to bounce back between 3 screens. But if we're going to take this long in every game, we're going to be a while. So we'll get over to the Rangers at the Sabres. The Sabres did get the 3-2 win. Really not a lot of news on this game yet that I've seen. The Rangers didn't change anything that I saw because I don't think they ran a full practice. But they did make a lot of changes during the game. So I'm expecting to see a bit of a shuffle on their lines and whatnot. The Sabres, again, without Yoga Haru, it sounds like, not that that's a huge fantasy implication, but is there anywhere you're leaning in this game? Just missed the under, just missed the over at 6, only getting 5 goals here. So is there anything you're thinking maybe go back to that, Shesterkin in net, or he's at a tough start, or are you kind of just not that interested in this game?
I don't know, man. I kind of think the Sabres might be good, and it scares me, as a Sabres fan. I've been trained to not overreact to early season sort of successes like this. But the underlying numbers are there. They kind of looked the part on Tuesday. So I don't know though about the under versus the money line. I mean, they're both basically pick'ems between the under 6 and the Sabres money line, being basically a pick'em as well here. And I just don't know if I trust this Rangers defense. I wanted to really like what they are going to do with Adam Fox. So I kind of am looking toward a guy like Jack Eichel. I don't think I'm going just to score a point or whatever, but if you want to talk a multi-point night, Eichel sort of jumps off the page at plus 165. I think that he's really going to get it going. He scored his first goal of the year on Tuesday, and I think that he's sort of on the precipice of, a really big breakout. And then also Rasmus Dahlin on the power play, shooting a ton this year, and you can get him pretty juiced at plus 130 to go over 2.5 shots. He's another guy who's just, I think, deserves better results than he's gotten.
Right. I totally agree with that. I mean, I think that would be my favorite one from this game as well, as the over for Dahlin. He didn't quite see the minutes in this game, but they were up. So they kind of sat on the lead of it. So he only got 17, but all that power play run, I mean, he really is been shooting the puck just in a crazy amount. So I like that take a lot. That would move us over to the Philadelphia Flyers at the New Jersey Devils. The only news that I'm not sure on this yet. I don't think we have confirmation on who's going to start in net for New Jersey, but Aaron Dell did make the flight, and I think will be available for them at minimum salary on DraftKings. But Mackenzie Blackwood will not play. Right now, the lines that we're looking at don't show exactly what the sportsbook is saying, so we're not sure exactly where it's going to land. But if you are looking at sportsbook, you are getting Philadelphia -1, minus 103 on DK right now. I don't know what that's going to end up being. I don't know how. Are you seeing this as well, Matt?
For real?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I must have had to reload the sportsbook. Oh, I had to plug it in my laptop too, but.
No.
That's,
yeah. I don't know what you're seeing. That's interesting though. I'm seeing minus 159. I believe that'll match the on-screen graphic there. So, if you can find that somewhere though, maybe that's a misline, but I'm guessing you're in New York, something might be glitchy and they're not fully live there. But anyway, on the Flyers side of things, we really saw them break out, sort of, do maybe what we thought they should have done. JVR, I think, had a 40-point night over on DraftKings if you're, just looking to chase that. But just in general, this line feels a little bit light on the Flyers at only minus 160, especially if we get, if we're expecting them to start a goalie in Aaron Dell, who hasn't played a game yet this year. Obviously, I don't even think was with the team for most of this year because he got claimed.
Was, in Toronto. Yeah.
So he got claimed and had to quarantine or whatever. So you could really be getting some, just fresh meat there in that. So just in general, though, I think the Flyers are a much better team than.
So are there any money lines, player props for the Flyers?
I'm not really. Yeah, so I think that the one place I might go back to is Jake Voracek. And I feel like I might take a flyer on him, just like manning the other flank on the power play at, first goal, 18-1. Like that seems sort of, pretty good. Like just take a flyer there. Guys in that similar price range, like Jack Hughes, obviously he's great, but kind of similar shooteriness as Voracek, if you will. Jesper Bratt's 20-1, Sharangovich 20-1, Provorov 22-1. Like those guys all seem, like Voracek is a better bet to just sort of fire one home on the power play. Are you
going back to the Konechny over on the shots, the 2.5 plus 150?
Yeah,
he obviously disappointed. He had 2 assists, but just didn't get the shot.
Yeah, so. I did some soul searching. I looked into some of the numbers, after that didn't hit. I take this job very seriously here, giving you guys the best bets. And this year, Konechny hasn't been sort of, quite as on it as he was to finish last year. So, maybe a slight recalibration there. I still think, though, that this is pretty good value at over 2.5 at plus 150. So, playing with Giroux and Patrick, like, I think that's still a decent bet.
Yeah, I think it's, you're getting a lot of good value on a guy that's very skilled. Maybe it's not quite the mortal lock that I think we thought it, not mortal. Obviously, it's a plus bet. If it was last, it wasn't a mortal lock or anything, but I think we really liked that one and it just didn't hit. So we'll move over now to the Islanders at the Capitals. Now, this one has a lot of news on the Capitals side. This should be the last game that we don't have the Ovi Orlov, Ilya Samsonov crew. And we also are almost definitely not going to have Lars Ellers, not confirmed yet. But we also might not have Nick Backstrom. He missed some time in the second period, came back in the third, then went out again in the third. He did shot bonus the 3 shots on goal for us. Well, they're coming back from that injury, but missing into the game, we don't know yet what's going to happen there, who's going to be on the ice. But that could leave a lot of players that just don't see ice time, getting ice time. One guy in mind of Connor McMichael, kind of a highly touted prospect. We saw him a lot in the World Juniors. Just a guy that, might end up, he's minimum salary on both sides, but a guy that, if you could get him on a player prop, I don't know if you're going to find much on the DK book, but, put maybe $5 on him to score. I assume that's crazy odds of trying to find a cliff.
It's actually the same odds as John Carlson.
Oh my God. Of course.
Look, John Carlson. So again, I was going to echo everything you said. If you want the really deep dive into what happened and all the nonsense going on, I covered it right off the top of the Morning Skate podcast, just sort of diving in, because that's really relevant from DFS, just because how cheap all these guys are, who could be potential replacements. But just looking at this from the betting side, John Carlson plus 450 to score, he's lining up in the Ovi spot on the power play. He scored last game. It's clearly something that John Carlson loves to do, and it seems a little bit unfair for Connor Sherry on the exact same team, to have the same odds as score. I think that John Carlson to score plus 450 is a very good one. You can also get the points on John Carlson. You actually can't get a multi-point night, so that's a little disheartening because he does sort of have some of the best odds to score 8 point minus 162. So I don't think that's a great value, but in general though, this game will be very interesting to monitor throughout Thursday, just to see, what they do if Lars Eller, Nick Backstrom, and if Evgeny Kuznetsov are out of the lineup.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's going to be crazy in Washington. We'll keep an eye on that. Definitely follow us individually on Twitter and Morning Skate Podcast. We'll be posting everything, all the news, all the notes on that one. But that'll bring us over to the Tampa Bay Carolina game. Unless if there's another player prop. Did you have anything else? Nope. The Tampa Bay Carolina game. This one is Carolina's been out for a while. We're not going to get Terry Teravainen back, so the lines could be a little bit different. The power play for Carolina, also a little bit different with Trocheck, Aho, Svechnikov, Hamilton, and Stahl. So if you are playing on DraftKings, he's minimum salary, Jordan Stahl, if that ends up sticking. Was there anything you like here? I think I personally kind of echoed the fact that we'll get to this more of the DraftKings that, they really priced down these Carolina guys for some reason. Over under at 6, a little bit of a favoring to Tampa Bay, Carolina at home. I think I kind of like the Carolina side, honestly. Tampa Bay's been really good, but Carolina coming back. I just kind of like a team that's this fresh, although Tampa Bay hasn't played a lot either. But what do you think about this game? Is there any player props you like?
Yeah, so I mean, there's only 3 home dogs on this slate, at the time of recording, and the 3 are New Jersey, Carolina, and Edmonton. Well, I guess depending on Nick Backstrom's situation, Washington might be, but Carolina is easily the best team of that group. And yeah, it's against Tampa, and Tampa's very good, but both of these teams have had a decent amount of rest. So I do think Carolina offers some value here just as a home dog. Grabbing them from the player prop side, I mean, Andrei Svechnikov is basically a coin flip to go over 2.5 shots. I like that relative to, you see on the same book, Dougie Hamilton over 3.5 as a coin flip. Like, yeah, Dougie's a great player, but I think that Svechnikov shoots more than Dougie will, especially if there's no Teravainen, who is likely to miss due to COVID protocols. Not a ton of information there around him, but Svechnikov should see a pretty increased role and just time on ice. So I like the Svechnikov over shots, but also Carolina in general as a home dog and grabbing them.
Yeah. Vinny Trocheck at plus 350 to score. He's on the first power play. He shoots the puck a ton. He's kind of regained that form, it seems like, from a couple years ago where he was a really nice rate shooter. If that continues, I mean, he's priced at just between Martin Necas and Warren Fogle. I mean, that just doesn't seem correct for a first power play guy that has a pretty good shot. And, we'll see where he ends up lining up. I mean, if they're, in a real tight game here and they don't have Turbo, they might end up putting him up with that top line or something. So I really like that. That's the kind of guy I want to target for a gold prop bet that's, you could make huge money on $20 like we did with Carter Verhaeghe. But that'll move us over. I had to shout myself out there to the Florida at Columbus game. Correct. Yeah. Florida at Columbus game. So the big news here is Jack Roslovic will make his first start. He was centering.
Big news.
I think he's fine. I mean,
he's fine.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was the trade. I mean, we're not going to get line A yet.
Okay, sure.
If it was line A, that would be it's just the trade and everything. So Jack Roslovic, the hometown boy, first line, second line, whatever you want to call it, with Atkinson and Boone Jenner, minimum salary on DraftKings. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. I'm putting a player prop betting him to score. I'm trying to find out what it is right now. There's just so many players. Whatever it is, just put $10 down. He's scoring a goal. First time back.
Carter Verhaeghe, I think, has the exact same odds as he did last game, plus 425 to score. I think it might have been plus 430 on Tuesday. So those are longer odds than Roslovic. And
where is he? Am I losing my mind?
Plus 350 for Roslovic.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, to me that, I mean, all credit to you for that, Verhaeghe,
we're here to make you guys money. Like, I'm just trying to make everyone else money. And then everyone that took it was like, yep, thank you for the free money. Thank you for the, I know, I got you. Next time we'll do this again tomorrow.
You bet.
And then Arvidsson did not do it for me, but
he did not.
He missed the net very nicely. Anyways, though, this game, Matt, is there anything you like in this game, don't like? I know I have my personal favorite take here, but
I think I like the under. This game feels pretty gross to me. Bob sort of sprung a leak early, which definitely hurt Florida last game and sort of pushed them into hurry up mode. We did get confirmation that Chris Drager is starting. So, I'm not a big goalie guy, as you all know at this point. I don't think that NHL goalies are that important because either they're a 900 goaltender where they stop 90 out of 100 shots, or they're like 915, 920, where they stop 92 out of 100 shots. And like, if you're asking me to bet on 2 shots out of 100, I don't know. Like, I'm not a freaking scientist. Like, so that's something where like, I don't put as much stock into it as some people do, but Bob's been bad and Drager looked really good. So that's one area where I think that this game in general just keeps a low pace. It's a torch classic and they grind out the under. So that's my strongest lean on this one.
Okay, my big strongest lean, the player that is tied in second for Corsi for per game is Alexander Barkov, and his odds to shoot the puck onto the net, which I think he'll do in handfuls, over 2.5 is minus 125. I mean, it's not, you're not getting the greatest odds in the world, but I mean, that just seems like a lock. I mean, that might be my lock of the night because he is right there behind McKinnon and right by Shea Theogoat as the premier players that are shooting the puck on net in the league, just above Matthews at this point. He's only played 3 games. It definitely super skews his stats. He's just been firing the puck at will, up there with Verhaeghe and Duclair. First power play. He's seen over 20 minutes of ice time in every game. If we expect this to be a little bit close game, they're going to have Barkov out there for 1 million minutes. He's going to get over 2.5 shots. Lock that in for me as my lock of the night.
All right. One note on that before we move on, because, we are only working with a handful of games for Florida. We were expecting coming into the year for something to give because they lost Hoffman. They lost Dadonov off that top power play. They also, moved on from Trocheck not that many games ago, a season and a half at this point. So there's a lot of shots to go around. And yeah, I mean, you pointed out Barkov seems to be the guy vacuuming up those attempts. So I like jumping on that as we go. And obviously Verhaeghe and Duclair.
And to score a goal, he's like the 3rd or 4th in the game.
Yeah.
It's just like this guy's seeing 20 minutes a night in first power. I don't understand. Again, this like if you do one, your favorite 3 bets in a parlay, include that one in there, and then maybe even put, a little bit of money on him to score a different one. Because as we mentioned in the last one where I guess I learned, although I kind of knew it, I just didn't think of it, that you can't put 2 in the same game. So plus 230 though, for him to score just seems egregious. So yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to the last 7:00 game we have, Calgary at Montreal. Montreal is a very slight favorite here. I don't really know where I stand on Montreal because they have looked dominant. I'm not sure I expected them to look as solid as they have, and maybe not even as much to look as good because, again, last year they were sort of this type of team that drove play, but they really seem to have like that touch, that finishing talent, whatever you want to call it. And Nick Suzuki seems to be a big driver there. So are you buying this Canadiens team? Like, do you think just as slight favorites at home versus Calgary, like there's some value to just sort of jamming them either on the money line or in DFS?
Yeah, I think it's definitely fair to at home. It really is pretty much a coin flip. So I like them a lot. They have been really good. They've just been very defensively sound, and the depth of this team is just all 4 lines contribute. All 4 lines are good enough to stop the other line going against them. I think this game is definitely, not maybe my favorite in DFS or anything like that, but it just kind of is a pretty fair game. I don't hate the over or the under. I'm pretty right down the middle with it at 6. I think 6 is the perfect number, so I'm not going to be hammering that. But I like that, you're going to get minus 117 at home for a team that's been awesome. Why not, right? And Calgary has been pretty hit or miss. What's the record on the year? 2-1. Yeah, they've been fine. So I don't really have I'm not betting the house on this one, but I definitely would lean to Montreal with getting at home pretty decent odds, especially if Carey Price is in net, which I guess I expect him to be. Don't see a reason why he wouldn't be. So
yeah, so gone are the days of Tyler Toffoli being sub 4,000 on DraftKings. That was a fun week. Hope everyone enjoyed that. He's like 65, 64, I think, on the slate. So kind of priced out of contention here. However, there is a guy that I really like on both DFS and his player prop in Shea Weber. Just again, a guy being set up. I love those guys on the flanks, on the power play. Think the Ovi spot, the Pasta spot. Shea Weber's doing that for this team. He has Nick Suzuki and Jeff Petrie each trying to feed him. You can get over 2.5 shots at plus 100. I think that this division is going to be ripe for overs all season long. I haven't seen any analysis yet at this point in the season, just in terms of actual goals. But I think that 10 of the top 12 point getters are from that division at this point. So things seem to be going as expected up north. So, I'm just banking on that continuing with Montreal and Calgary, and give me the Shea Weber over as my favorite bet here.
All right, that'll take us to LA at Minnesota. LA just found a way to stop everything, I guess, and win that game.
I believe Minnesota. The phrase is hold on to your butts. That's the sort of hockey they played.
So Cam Talbot is presumably out. I don't think there's any chance of him playing. It says he won't be available for Thursday. That will bring either Hammond or Kakinen back into the net. Barring, the repeat of the other night when the shooters for Minnesota were shooting and just not finding the back of the net. Is there anything you really like here? I mean, the money line, I don't believe moved too much from the last time out, but Minnesota at home minus 157. I personally like it. I don't like the over. I think it's, kind of, I don't know, 5.5 is not fun to bet on because like betting on below 5.5 is just boring to do. But I guess I like it a little bit. But Matt, what do you feel like in here?
Yeah. So yeah, that Tuesday night game from Minnesota was equal parts sort of encouraging and just downright depressing because they were firing. They seemed to get really good opportunities. So that's not really being priced in like the line hasn't moved or anything. So this felt like a conviction bet to me, like just bet Minnesota on Tuesday. Didn't work, but I think you can double down on it, and it's just a solid bet. Minnesota is just a better hockey team than LA, and you're getting pretty good value, I think, at minus 157. And then player props wise, Kevin Fiala is a guy that we always talk about when we're on. His line is only set at 2.5, so just probably take the over there. A little bit of value at minus 155. So
yeah, I think if you bet the over on Fiala over 2.5 all season long, you're going to end up making money overall. I mean, obviously they'll have a game or two where he doesn't hit it, but he's shooting the puck as much as possible. Honestly, and we'll get to this in a minute. If you look at their 5-on-5 and their kind of their ice time in general, Fiala, Parise, and Kaprizov all saw over 20 minutes. And the next is Eriksson Ek at 17, and then it goes to 14. So they're clearly trying to get those guys out there in a close game. So, these are the three guys for them. They're moving forward with these three guys as the main people. Fiala, 22 minutes. He's going to get over 2.5 shots. So put that one over with the Barkov one. Make some money. Have fun with it. We'll get over to, I believe it is Detroit and Dallas, correct? Yes.
Just one more thing. Eriksson Ek is a freaking player, man. He is good.
Yeah.
He's not being used. He's not being used in an offensive role, so I don't really think you can play him. But man, does he look good out there?
He did get power play too, which was
I just want him
to. He didn't get that in the first few, so
I just want him to center Fiala. That'd be so fun. It'd be so good. Whatever. Let's move on.
In fact, they're using him as like a shutdown player, which I didn't expect. Just prospect wise, he seemed like a kind of a sniper shooter. And he's just kind of been on their defensive line and scoring. So, I mean, it's working. So it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But if it breaks, put him in that Bukestad spot. Thank you. Please and thank you, Minnesota. Thanks for listening. But yeah, no, let's get over to the Detroit at Dallas game. Dallas will be having their, like I said, their skyline jerseys, their highlighter jerseys in this one. Detroit potentially without Larkin. We still haven't gotten confirmation there, but he was hurt in the last game and didn't practice today, and we're not sure what that's going to mean exactly. They weren't indicating anything, but it wasn't COVID related. So Dallas, disappointing. They took it to overtime and got the win. They are, minus 200. I'm just to stay away from me. I'm not going to put money on minus 205. That's just pointless. The over-under is 5, though. So is there anything you do like as far as the money lines? And then we'll get into the player props.
I mean, look, this game really feels like a stay away to me because there's so much uncertainty. Larkin questionable, Jamie Benn questionable. Radulov maintenance days seems like he'll be back, but Rupe Hintz questionable. Like, those are some really top flight guys who we don't know the status of. So at this point in time, I don't feel super confident in basically any of these players' roles at this point. Just same thing as Tuesday. Just fire up Denis Gurianov. Power play, like he's a great shooter and a good rate shooter. Yet again, you can't bet the shots on goal prop on him. So, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't think I'll bet the score a goal prop here.
It's 195. It's just annoying.
Yeah, I don't think I'll bet that. But in DFS, I think he's a reasonable play at, 6.2 to get you that 5-shot bonus and, just sort of hope for some upside to go with that. So unless you had anything.
No, this one's super boring. I agree. They really the shot on goal props. I mean, my God, DraftKings, give us the worst options as possible for Detroit. I mean, then Dallas. I guess I don't hate 1.5 for Radulov, especially if all those guys miss. I can't see him going for another donut on shots on goal again. I mean, that would be pretty crazy. So at 1.5,
As someone who bet the Radulov over on shots on goal during the bubble, endlessly, I can tell you he gets donuts a lot.
It's insane though. Minus 182. Why even? I mean, Jamie Benn probably won't play. Klingberg 2.5. I don't know. It's a coin flip. And then thanks DraftKings for giving us nothing for fun.
Yeah,
but we'll move over to a much more fun game in the St. Louis Vegas game. I think this one kind of projects to be one of the funnest of the night. I like the over. I don't know if I'm going to be smashing it, but over 6 seems like a pretty fair way of going about this. I think both teams are very good offensively. They showed it in that 9-goal, well, I guess actually 8-goal shootout win for the St. Louis Blues. I'd love for that to happen again, something of that nature. A lot of goals, a lot of shots. Is there anything though that you're really keying in on here?
Yeah, I mean, from the DFS perspective, I think this game is an awesome one to target. Not just Patches, chasing that hat trick, but he's like an awesome player in general. But St. Louis's main contributors are all just massively underpriced. So you don't really see that in like the betting odds. You have guys like Ryan O'Reilly, David Perron, 2 or more points, plus 340, Patches at plus 300. So like, slightly worse odds there, but you can see the sort of similar levels of upside. You look on DraftKings, though, David Perron is like 4,600. Jaden Schwartz on that top power play second line is 4K. Jordan Kyrou is not really getting the minutes, but he is just a beast out there, so he should earn more time as that continues. He's like 3,400. So I really like this game from a DFS perspective. If I were to place a bet, I think that Patches two or more points at plus 300 is good value. And obviously the David Perron over 2.5 shots at plus 130. It's just kind of like, come on, like give me, I might bet him.
It's like, yeah, they definitely have changed his role. Yeah, they put his role like to now he's the shot guy, and then DraftKings is like, we don't believe it yet, even though he's done it like 4 games in a row. Until they change that, that's seemingly not free money. 3 games in a row though where he's hit that, and I think he's going to continue it in this kind of a matchup with this kind of pace. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So you're getting a positive bet there with Perron. You take that to the bank. I don't know if there's anything in particular that I'm all in on, but these points, props, I think you could just kind of figure out the one you like the most and go with it. Whatever you want to do, but like Perron at minus 139 to have a point seems pretty fair. They're not giving you anything too juicy, but that's okay. We can move on unless there's anything else you want to mention there.
No. So let's head over to Colorado and San Jose.
Yeah.
This game was an absolute bloodbath. So I don't know if if you're looking at a repeat of that, 7-1, I believe the final score was.
2.
7-2.
No, 3. The 3. They scored 2 late.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah.
I forget about that. 50-1 on that line. If you just wanted to bet 7-3 again, that, just
get crazy.
Crazy. But what are your thoughts here?
I mean, I don't, think it's going to go for 10 goals again, but I do think both these teams are, something that could give up some shots against. And, I like this one as a DFS game. I think the one thing I always mention when I talk about San Jose, as far as daily fantasy, is that we kind of know what players are the players for them, and they keep those guys out there for most of the game. So Hurdle, Couture, Kane, all got, the lion's share of the minutes and power play time. So I never really get cute with them on DFS. I also, would carry that right over to their player props. Is there one in particular that I'm super high on? Not really. I don't know if I want to go insane against a team like Colorado who could just absolutely, run the train on them again, just absolutely destroy them again. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but I think that if you're going to do anything, the over 2.5 or the over 3.5. Oh God, I don't know if I want to. There's not one of these lines I got. I didn't realize it was Couture. 2.5 for Couture, 110. I don't hate it. I think that normally I would be pretty high on some of these player props for San Jose. I normally am because these are the guys. We know who's going to see the ice time. We know who's going to see the power play time. Against Colorado, I'm going to be off of it. Overall, I probably don't take either of these money lines. There's just not enough value to take Colorado. So
yeah, so
I think this was a bit of a stay away.
Not to keep just banging this drum, but Timo Meier should not have the same odds to pick up a point as Logan Couture and Tomas Hertl. I know anyone who followed me with that on Tuesday, Timo Meier picked up some point in the first period and hurt us. But Timo Meier is playing third line. He played 13 minutes last game, only got second power play run. He has the basically exact same odds to not pick up a point as Couture and Hurdle, two guys who you mentioned. They're out there every situation, playing 20 minutes a night, top power play, top six centers. Like Timo Meier's not with them. He's not worth this. Just bet no. And I think this is, it'll come back to you tonight if you bet that. So, but it's just kind of a really bad line in my opinion.
Yeah, so, there's just so much me trying to get to are there any other goal odds that you like? Could you look at any of those, or is there any that stood out to you? I mean, Hurdle plus 265, or any
Brent
of these that you
Burns at plus 420, like Ryan Donato plus 450, like both those guys seem like pretty good bets there. But I don't love to bet these lines that have no option, like that you can't bet them not to score, because it just feels like you're kind of getting, just feels like they're really attacking you with these one-sided bets. So it just feels like, if you bet all of them, you obviously have no protection. Like you can't say, oh no, that's a bad line, let me bet against it. You're just sort of betting elsewhere. So, I usually stay away unless it's like a super obvious mispricing.
Right. Well, that will take us over to Anaheim at Arizona. If you, like I said, John Gibson kind of saved me on the slate. He's, been unbelievably good, kind of helping Anaheim secure some wins early in the season and keep the unders really in play. I'm not sure if we're going to get him again with no confirmation there. He's played, I think, like almost every game for them -1. So wouldn't be surprised if
John Gibson has played 6 out of their 7 games and has gotten 10 goals of run support in those 6 games. 10.
Sounds exactly right. Yeah. He's just been unbelievable. I mean, it has the P next to him on DraftKings, like he's probable again. I guess I don't know. Guess I'd run with the high hand, but this one's a pretty strong stay away from me. I don't think I'm going to have much of anything here. I just don't have a lot of interest in playing the Anaheim-Arizona game in any capacity. I mean, on DraftKings, it's incredibly cheap all around. Every single player is, but I think that's for a reason because it just isn't a very good game. If Dvorak ended up getting that 2 shots on goal. I said over 1.5 seemed like a gimme, and he did it for me barely. But other than that, I just pretty much a stay away all around. I don't have a lot of interest in gambling on this.
Yeah, so, I think if anything, maybe the one bet here that I find sort of intriguing is I'm looking at like these first period correct scores. Betting 0-0 in the first in this one seems kind of appealing. Like I don't think it's going to be another 1-0 game. But, like last time out, like that first period was just, almost playing pong, like back and forth, like neither team really wanted to do much offensively, at risk defensively. Obviously the first goal I think would open things up a bit. But that first period at plus 310 to be, scoreless through 1, I think that's decent value there, but that's really it. I'm not betting any overs or anything like that. I just don't think there's a whole lot to love here.
There you go. You found something in this abyss of a game. Thank you for doing that, Matt. Because I'm not betting anything. That would bring us to Ottawa and Vancouver in a rematch. The only rematch we're going to get from Wednesday night. Ottawa got crushed on the scoreboard, but not with the shot totals. They put a peppering, especially in the first period, on Thatcher Demko. So we should see Holtby and Murray. Murray's been the worst goalie in the league as far as saves above expected, or I guess stopping the puck. Any save that he should not have made, he's missed every time, and maybe more. So he's been absolutely terrible. Does that lead you to thinking about the 6.5 over, or are you kind of thinking, maybe a back-to-back, that's something where you might want to go under on?
Yeah, I was joking before the show that I should just self-exclude from slates that include Vancouver, because every time it's just like I can't get them right. It just seems like, they're burning me when I do play them. They're burning me when I play against them. It's basically Tyler Toffoli or nothing on the season for me against Vancouver. So I guess one massive will, offset some other little losses. But just in general, like Vancouver does not look very good. Now, maybe this sort of first line of Pettersson, Miller actually getting something going sort of, kickstarts the Canucks here. but I don't think I would bet over 6.5 on this one.
Yeah.
Back
to back, it's just tough.
Yeah, I think I'm more interested in the player, the player angles. This first line in Ottawa just seems like they're doing pretty good stuff. So you can get, Josh Norris, for example, to sort of repeat on his goal scoring effort plus 275. Like that's probably what I would do. Keep an eye to see if they, if they replace Evgeny Dadonov in the shots on goal. Obviously, anyone on that first line I'm interested in. But it's only Brady Tkachuk right now, and he's good. But I just, I'm not looking too hard at it on a back-to-back like this.
No, I totally agree. If anything, the under is a little bit enticing to me, but with the goaltenders being so bad, it's hard for me to want to even take either side of it. I mean, until Matt Murray shows me anything, I'm kind of just going to stay away from money lines, including him in it, because he could just completely stink and then, ruin that good take on, 25 shots against and give up 5. So I think I'm much more interested in getting to the final game here if you're ready for it.
Yeah, and this one should be a fun one. We have Toronto at Edmonton. Toronto, a slight favorite here. Another game with the over being 6.5. This one, though, I think just has the sort of star power type appeal that I love, especially in DFS. Guys like Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews should be the staples of almost any lineup that you're building.
Yeah.
On the Edmonton side, it was basically confirmed, so if you are an avid listener, like you should have picked up that Jesse Puljujarvi would have been on the first line with McDavid, Darnell Nurse also on the top power play. Those two guys, yet again, are some of the best values on the entire slate. They make, playing a guy like Connor McDavid attainable, just given, how expensive he is. So just in general, I love this game. Austin Matthews on the other side is just, he's on a roll right now. I'm certainly not jumping off and probably won't all season. So just a big fan of this game. Anything in particular, though, stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my long shot bets of the night might end up being Darnell Nurse plus 600 to score. He's not a focal point of shooting on the power play, but when you're on a power play with Draisaitl, McDavid, and Nugent Hopkins, anything happen where he could, A, just shoot the puck from the point in, or B, move down low and get an opportunity. He had 3 shots on net in the last game. Yeah, one of those goes in, and you are just, getting insane odds on a first power play guy. Is he the most likely to score in the league? No way. But between guys like Travis Boyd and Evan Bouchard and Ethan Bear that just aren't even going to play, it's like, what's going on with that? So it's not my, I wouldn't bet the house on it, but if you're having fun, put $10 on Darnell Nurse. I mean, right? First power play with McDavid, that anyone can score, even me.
Yeah, and same deal. Jesse Puljujarvi, their second power play attempt was on the first unit. James Neal was on the first one. Jesse Puljujarvi, the second one. We only saw 2 power plays, so don't know, with certainty what's going to shake out. However, you can get Jesse Puljujarvi plus 360 to score. Same odds as Zach Kassian.
Yeah.
Lovely viewer. Like you make that call. Which one's more likely to score? I think it's Puljujarvi. So, that's where I'm going with this one.
All right. Yeah. I mean, if you talk about the Vancouver game tonight, you said who's most likely to have 2 goals, I would not have picked Mott, but here we are. So it's definitely Kassian. Nice try. Way to fool everyone. But why don't we keep it moving, though, because I think we're going to be way over if we don't. We'll get to some favorite stacks of the night on DraftKings. I know, Matt, I took it from you on the Morning Skate podcast, so I don't want to take it from you here. Do you want to get to your first one that I'm trying to tee you up with?
I mean, with 14 games, I'm not sure. I think this one's like my favorite, but I know the one that you were talking about.
Okay, favorite, yeah, but
yeah. Anyway, Carolina is massively underpriced on DraftKings. You can get all 3 of Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, and Dougie Hamilton below 6,000. And I get the matchup is tough, but talent and price to me win out over, and usage win out to me over matchup. So you're really just looking for a power play. You're looking for upside. So if they don't hit, they don't hit. But these guys have some upside that can absolutely win you a tournament. and you can fit in nice stacks alongside them. Like you could legitimately play Edmonton power play stack with Carolina. Like it just does a really good stack. And I like all the players individually too.
Okay, no, I definitely like that a lot. I'm going to go back to the well on this one a little bit. I don't know if we mentioned it in the last show or not. I think I may have, but I'm going to change it a touch. So Kevin Fiala, Zach Parise, and Kirill Kaprizov, like I mentioned, they just saw so many minutes, and they all correlate on the power play. Obviously, Kaprizov being the odd man out as far as playing with Fiala and Parise. But you can put all those together, and if not, you could, if you don't want to play Kirill because he's not that perfect correlation piece, Spurgeon, 4,200 on power play, just hasn't been points. He has 1 assist through 7 games. Unlucky more than anything else. The shots and blocks are there, so I think he's just a bit too cheap against them. They have, like I said, LA's done a good job this year being somewhat okay defensively, but eventually that wall is going to break, and it didn't break last time. I'm going to keep firing against them, and I finally get that huge explosion, and it's just clearly they're funneling the offense through these 3 guys. So
yeah, I mean,
Fiala, Parise.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like that too. It's tough when they're all 3 wings. Like it's just tough to not have a center in the mix there.
Yeah.
But it could go well with, like a double center stack. Maybe consider Nate McKinnon with, Mikko Rantanen. And then if you want to save a little bit, Nazem Kadri on that top power play just comes in a touch too cheap. He hasn't really, had that huge night or anything to this point, but it's lurking. It's coming. He's on the top power play. So I think Kadri, it's a fun little 2 center build that might not be necessary, but especially, on a later, smaller slate, I think could really work out well for you.
Okay. Yeah. Another stack that I did mention over on the Skate podcast, and I don't want to have too much overlap, but one thing that I'm going to end up doing, at least in one lineup, is doing McDavid and Draisaitl together. Draisaitl is the same price as Nugent Hopkins. And I just think that if you want to get a little bit contrarian with one of the most popular teams of the night, getting a different look with Nurse, Draisaitl, and McDavid might be fun. And, if you kind of cannibalize your wings with better, wingers that I think might be a touch better than Nugent Hopkins at that price, you could find yourself with an open center spot. And Leon Draisaitl and McDavid, they connect for a power play goal or 2 and both score individually on 5-on-5. And if it's a close game, they might be out there together. They have done that in the past where it's, 4-4 late in the game or in overtime. They put them both out there to try to win the game. Makes a ton of sense to me. So it's expensive, obviously, but Darnell Nurse makes it doable. So I'm definitely going to try to jam that in at least once as well over on DraftKings in one of my lineups to be. I don't think many people are going to do it. And there's a ton of upside against Toronto.
That game is certainly attackable. We'll do one more. I'll do one more and then we'll get on out of here because that's a lot. So my last one, just St. Louis Vegas game stack. I touched on it when we talked about the game, but just all of their key contributors are underpriced. Those are the sort of spots I love to just pick and choose, especially on this large of a slate. You're looking for, guys who have some correlation, but also just really good upside personally. And I think David Perron, Jaden Schwartz, Torrey Krug, Max Pacioretty, Jonathan Marchessault, all those guys are on the top power play units. And I think, honestly, if they were $1,000 more expensive on DraftKings, would still be in play. So that's really just, a blaring signal for me to just go load up on those guys and just try to win me a GPP. So anything you want to say before we close out the show?
No, just, we normally mention this off the start, but definitely rate, comment, review, let us know your favorite bets. Let us know how you're doing. If you pick some of our bets, definitely let me know. I'm going to be retweeting them, commenting back as much as possible. Matt, I'm sure the same. I do have a couple of friends that are listening to every time, and they're writing down all the bets we take and letting us track them. So they've been pretty solid. They haven't been perfect. You're never going to be perfect in this world because it's definitely not a gimme ever on any night. But thanks for everyone that's helped out, been a part of this. I got a lot of new followers. Matt, I'm sure the same to you. Matt, again, congratulations on the TSN Winnipeg show. That was awesome to hear. Definitely something like, I'll let you talk on it, but something that, again, like tell me 4 years ago that you'd be on TSN Winnipeg from what we, what we've started is insane. So, that's definitely
Yeah, I mean, no, I did a short hit up in Winnipeg on their TSN. Guy reached out through Pat Mayo, the Mayo Media. Through all that, just great stuff. So super thankful for that, and obviously super excited about it too. But I also just wanted to follow up on YouTube. Someone did leave a comment asking us a season long question, and I responded to it. And I just wanted to mention, certainly we would love to talk about some things like that. So maybe when the schedule allows for it and we're not dealing with 13 and 14 game slates, we can touch on some more big picture type things.
Meany's been crushing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meany and whoever he's with every night have been crushing that, because when there's 14 games, it's hard to be and in season long, or we're going to go for 2 hours. So,
yeah. So,
DM us or comment, do that. We'll get back to you on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. So with all that said, I think we've pretty much touched on everything you need to know on Thursday. So best of luck to you out there. Be sure to follow me. I am at Fake Moods on Twitter. DJ's at DJ_Mitchell94. And obviously rate, subscribe, review, all the cool things DJ said. And check us out over at the Morningscape podcast as well for some more specific DFS advice on this slate and all the slates that we record for. So thank you for listening, and we will see you.